Most things that came out of the 1990s have an undeniable swag. The original PlayStation, the Miata, techwear.
Gore-Tex, guaranteed to keep you dry.
We found a relic of the 90s, made by a company called Adventure Tech, and we reproduced it to a T. Like most of our reproductions, we made this jacket so that you can easily find one in your size without paying the eBay scalper fee. But who is Adventure Tech? And why aren't they making this jacket anymore? Adventure Tech was a company based out of Washington State. They were best known for making equipment and gear for the US military, with an estimated 95% of their sales being to the DoD. Adventure Tech was owned primarily by Brian Abrams, who also eventually owned Integral Designs USA. Integral Designs was known for making high-end mountaineering gear and clothing, and Adventure Tech was the company used to sell that gear to the DoD through mail orders. There's rumors floating around that Proper was the owner of Adventure Tech because of the Adventure Tech line. The truth is that Adventure Tech was owned by Brian Abrams until 2009, when he filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Blackhawk Products Group bought Adventure Tech as its assets were liquidated. Proper never owned the company, but it seems they did a collaboration line following the Blackhawk purchase. After that, it doesn't look like they did anything else with it. Adventure Tech was listed as a subsidiary company, but we never got to see what they do with it. So what makes Adventure Tech so cool? In the 90s and into the 2000s, this reversible jacket was their most well-known product, and for good reason. During Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm, the United States sent just under 700,000 troops to the Middle East. The Gulf War only lasted about 6 months, from August 1990 to February 1991. It began with the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait.
At 2 a.m. local time on August the 2nd, Iraqi troops crossed the border into Kuwait.
And ended with the liberation of Kuwait.
The Kuwaitis say the nightmare has ended, and Kuwait City comes alive.
The war was heavily dominated by U.S. air campaigns against Iraq, and ground forces were up against tank warfare. It was the largest tank battle since World War II, with the entire coalition losing 31 tanks, while the Iraqis lost around 3,300. While the war is known for its tank warfare and air superiority, infantry and ground units were deployed right alongside them. Soldiers were clearing sand berms and oil-filled flaming trenches, wearing 6-color desert and desert night camo uniforms. Both camos were eventually deemed ineffective, but we'll get to that in a second. The Kuwaiti desert can get severe sandstorms, occasional rain, and temperatures as low as 50 degrees Fahrenheit. That's where the Adventure Tech Reversible came in. It has a waterproof Gore-Tex shell, with 3-color desert camo on one side, and a DNC nylon taffeta fabric on the other. They made a more common version that was DCU and US Woodland, which is a lot easier to find today. These weren't standard issue jackets though. The original ones we have are tagged with US Cavalry Store alongside the Adventure Tech tag. US Cavalry Store was a retailer that took on large government contracts to supply the US military with gear. There's not a lot of information out there on who exactly was being issued these jackets, but what we do know is that unit supply officers were the ones who were making the orders from the US Cavalry Store. Aside from that, there were sometimes brick and mortar stores that were on or near bases. But if everyone was being issued chocolate chip, why were these jackets 3-color desert? The US had already developed 3-color desert camouflage in the mid-1980s, but it wasn't officially adopted until 1992, after the Gulf War. During the war, soldiers found that 6-color desert was too dark, busy, and had too much contrast for the open deserts of Kuwait. Since chocolate chip was designed for the deserts of the Southwest, that makes a lot of sense. The fine sand deserts were vastly different from the rocky deserts of the Mojave. 3-color desert was developed by Natick Laboratories using soil samples from Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, but it wasn't adopted until after the shortcomings of chocolate chip became clear. The story behind desert night camo is really similar to 6-color desert. In the early 1970s, DNC was also developed by Natick Laboratories. The sole purpose of its development was to conceal soldiers from first-generation Soviet night vision. Its grid pattern and random speckles were supposed to break up the shape of the soldier and blend them into their terrain when viewed through the low-resolution night vision. Supposedly, it did its job pretty well. It was being issued during the Gulf War because Iraqi forces were equipped with first and some second-generation Soviet night vision. Sounds like the perfect combo, right? Well, 10 to 15 years of night vision development are what made desert night camo obsolete during its first deployment. During testing, it was more visible than regular desert uniforms and even overwhites through Gen 3 night vision. Most soldiers did use it as an extra layer of warmth, so it wasn't a total loss. So why does everybody love desert night camo? The short answer is that it just looks cool. That's why streetwear companies like Supreme have taken it on and made their own version, and why we love it today. When it came to the repro, we made our jacket to be worn. This isn't a collector's piece. Wear it out to the range. Throw a chest rigger plate carrier on it. You don't have to worry about waiting for another buy and sell group listing to pop up in your size. It's great for wearing around town too. If you've ever worn multicam to the gas station, you might have gotten the occasional "thank you for your service," but people don't do that with DNC. It's perfect for scratching the camo autism itch, without looking like you're about to infodump an essay about why VSR 98 is the best. Our DNC DCU jacket has a 2-layer waterproof membrane, just like the original, to keep you dry in moderate to heavy rain and snow. Make the fit perfect with adjustment points on the hood, wrists, and hem. And of course, a double-sided zipper to swap between Desert Night Camo and 3-color Desert. We base the fit on the originals. Big, boxy, and timeless. Size down for a more fitted look, or get your regular size for a baggier fit. Go to KommandoStore.com/DNC and get yours today.